Hi everyone, welcome to Feline Jungle. This is part 2 of my complete houseplant tour. Last week we were looking at the plants in my living room, and since we last filmed, they've been exploding with new growth. Just checking out here, I have a Gloriosum leaf coming out, and here I have a Prince of Orange leaf peeking out right here. If you guys are interested in these plants on my plant shelf, then go check out the video that I posted last week, because in this video we're gonna head over into my kitchen area and look at the plants over there. I'm just gonna take COVID and let's go. The first plants you'll see when you go into my apartment. This is the Florida Ghost, Philodendron Florida Ghost. It hasn't produced that creamy white leaf for me yet, but I love it regardless. It grows really fast. It actually has some kind of variegation. I just really love the structure of the leaf. There's 2 plants in here, and I got it at a farmer's market in Union Square. The place is called Petal Plants. But I heard that if you give it enough light, it'll produce that creamy white leaf, which is why I have some grow lights here. I'm kind of doing an experiment to see if it'll give me that creamy white leaf. But yeah, I love this guy. He's so big. And right next to it, I have another type. This is the Philodendron Florida Beauty, which has the same structure leaf as this one. But this one has that cool variegation over here. There's a new leaf coming out, and I believe this is my most expensive plant in my house. I just love it a lot. I'm trying to give it a lot of light right here. Now we're gonna move on to this corner. I forgot to talk about this. I'm trying to utilize the skylight that we have in this area, so I put a propagation setup right here where I just have these test tubes, and here is a pilea. This is a stem of an orchid. I don't think it works this way. I don't think anything's gonna happen to this, but it's just a little experiment I'm doing. This is a Peperomia tetragona that I took from the living room. Here are some other cuttings. This is the Philodendron brandy and the micans. They root really well in water. As you can see, there's a lot of new roots. And this test tube was actually the string of spades that you saw in my previous video. The roots were like 6 inches long, so it was time to move it into leca, which is why it's empty. Alright, so now we're finally gonna get to the kitchen area. I'm just gonna put down COVID and show you the first plant we have. In this corner is kind of like my relaxation corner. I have one plant. You might recognize it from my very first houseplant tour in my old apartment. This is the Philodendron Hope, and he was so tiny in my old apartment, and here he's just getting really big. I have a grow light for him on top. And yeah, I think it's time to repot him because his leaves are getting yellow, but I don't see any signs of bugs or anything like that, so I don't know why he's getting like this. Maybe he just needs a bigger pot because he's getting so big. But yeah, I love this guy. He's also on like a DIY plant stand that I made out of a broken chair. So this is like a chair leg, and this is just like a basket that I put on top. It looks really nice, so I just keep it like that. All right, so now we're gonna go to our dining room table. We actually don't cook that much. It's becoming a plant table. First plant we have is my fiddle leaf fig cutting. I had a huge fiddle leaf fig, and it was just dropping leaves over the winter because the heat is too strong here. I'm still trying to figure it out, but the heat was too strong and the leaves started dropping. I managed to take a cutting of it before it totally just like dropped all its leaves. And I just have it in water, and look at these roots. It's only been like a month. And these roots are crazy. It's time to repot it actually, but I ran out of soil, so it's just gonna stay in here until I get some soil. Over here we have another Caletheia. This is the Caletheia rattlesnake. The one that I had previously, the leaves started crisping like crazy because the heat is too, it makes the air too dry. So I gave it another chance and bought another one. I haven't gotten a chance to repot it yet because I got it last week. And then I really wanted this philodendron. This is, I think, Philodendron Brazil is what it's called. It's a fairly common philodendron, but I just love the variegations on it. Each leaf is totally different, and I heard it's really fast grower. I haven't been able to get it a pot yet, so these two I have to repot. And then here I have a Schefflera, I think it's called a variegated Schefflera. It's also called the umbrella plant because of the way it grows. It kind of reminds you of an umbrella. It's doing okay here in this corner. Now we're just gonna head over to the windows where we have the natural light coming in here. In this kitchen area, we have south facing light. The sun is very direct and bright, but right now it's cloudy, so you don't see that. But on this windowsill, we have the rubber tree. He's doing okay. There's some new growth points here. They love the sun here in the summer. Down here we have the rubber tree Tanaki. I also got this at the farmer's market. It started dropping leaves for me. I think it's because of the temperature difference between the outside temperature and in here. So it started dropping leaves. I actually moved it away from the heater, so hopefully it bounces back up. Next here we have my prickly pear cactus. It's actually inspired my first pet-friendly pin series. I really love it because not only is it pet-friendly, but also really easy to take care of. You just have to water it when it gets soft. And it's very easy to propagate. This fell off, so all I have to do is stick it back into the soil. I haven't gotten time to do that yet, but I will do that. I love the variegation on the cactus, and also it doesn't have spikes, which is perfect because it wouldn't hurt my cat when he decides to bite on it. Right here we have the last plant, the saddest plant I have, my fiddle leaf fig tree. I still think there's hope, even though it doesn't have any leaf anymore. I heard that if you shake it, it'll encourage it to grow new leaves, and it's better for it because it mimics the natural environment. So I actually shake it every day, hoping that I'll get some new leaves. We'll see. I have my insurance, which is the cutting I have over there. So hopefully, if I can't save this, at least I'll still have a part of it. Moving here is my main plant corner in my kitchen area. You probably see this a lot. I have my humidifier set up for the plants over here. I actually don't need a grow light because the light is just so good in this area. This is my Rhaphidophora discursiva. It grows so fast. It kind of reminds me of a monstera. It has these little slits in it that kind of looks like the fenestrations on a monstera, and it just grows really fast. So during the winter, it just grew this crazy long runner stem. It hasn't grown any leaf on it. I actually have to cut it back here. I'm pretty sure if I didn't cut it back, it would be up to my ceiling already. So I just have to like cut it back, and hopefully that will encourage some new leaves. So there's two plants in here. Moving here is my plant shelf. This is my Hoya rotundiflora. It has the craziest leaves. The leaves are rectangular shaped, and I got it at a local plant store called Nellie's Plant Shop. Nellie's Flower Shop, I think. Yeah, Nellie's Flower Shop. And it has this Hoya that I just had to get. It's starting to give me a new growth point over here. But yeah, I just love the shape of the leaf. This is another favorite of mine. This is the Monstera Peru. It has this crazy leaf texture. This was a deal that I got at the farmer's market, Petal Plants shop. It was $15 and there was like 2 plants in there. And I think these usually go for like $60, so which is a steal. And they grow like crazy. I made it a DIY moss pole. Hopefully it will climb up it in the summer. But right now it's not doing that well. The leaves are super tiny, and hopefully it'll bounce back up in the summer. This is my infamous dirty potato. I made a video on how I made it sprout in 6 months. It's actually called a Stephania erecta, and now I have it in leca, and it finally sprouted before my partner snapped it in half, and in like a week it grew this new stem. So I'm hoping that this will actually survive. Right now I put like a glass dome over it to make it cat proof and my partner proof so he doesn't snap it again. Right here is my jewel orchid. It flowered for me back in January or December. I cut back the flowers and now it's giving me a new growth point. Next up we have my Raphodora tetrasperma. It's also known as the mini monstera. I got this from my friend at Corgi Jungle. It's doing okay in this pot. It was growing more in the summer. Right now I'm just kind of waiting for it to bounce back up. On top here is my first plant purchase of 2021. This is my Monstera albo, and I got it at such a steal. It was $30 for cutting. Obviously it has low variegation, but it has a lot of potential. Here it actually has a new growth point. I'm so excited to see what that leaf will look like. Regardless, even for a Monstera, this is a pretty good deal for $30. Down here, this is my newest plant. This is called a booby cactus. It was a wish list plant of mine since 2020, last year. And I got it the perfect pot. This pot was empty for like 6 months since I got it. And it was just waiting for the perfect plant. And this is the perfect plant for it. Over here is my Hoya carry that I also got from Corgi Jungle. It wasn't doing much for a while. I think I was getting used to this new pot. And right now I have a new growth point. What I love about this plant is that the leaves look like hearts. The last plant on this plant shelf is my Philodendron Florida Ghost. As you can see, I really love Philodendron Florida Ghost. This is a plant that I got from Tiny Jungles, also a local plant shop in Brooklyn. This is finally giving me sign of life. For a while I wasn't doing much. And since I started spraying it with water more, now this is getting back to growing. Alright, so now we're just gonna move up here where I have all my Hoyas. I'm really trying to take advantage of the south facing window, and I know that Hoyas like really bright light, so I put them here. In the summer the light was too strong and the heat was also too strong, so I put a screen here, and since I've done that they've been growing like crazy. Before that they were burning off each leaf. But this is my Hoya macrophylla. Yes, Hoya macrophylla, and I just love the shape of the leaf, and also has this variegation over here. Recently it started growing for me again. This is the newest growth point. Hopefully I'll get some new leaves, but right now all my Hoyas are just giving me these long trailing stems. Right next to it I have, I think, one of my favorite Hoyas actually. This is the Hoya obovata. I just love the splash marks on it and how round the leaves are. This one is also giving me a really long stem. I don't know if you can see this, but this stem reaches all the way to my humidifier. I don't know what it's doing. It has a lot of roots growing on it, but it's not giving me any new leaves. Hopefully it'll flower for me. I don't know what's going on. Actually have to put this back here. Right next to it I have more Hoyas. This is the regular Hoya carnosa, just the green one. I love it a lot. It's a really good beginner plant, and all Hoyas are actually pet friendly. If you guys want some Hoyas, I hang them up though because of these stems. They look like really good cat toys, which is why I have them up on macrame hangers. Down here I have another carnosa. This is the Hoya carnosa Crimson Queen. If you love plants with like green, white, pink variegation, I would highly recommend this plant. So you can see here, there's some pink leaves that are coming out. This will actually turn white, which is very cool. It's giving me a lot of new growth points, actually, even in the winter. Look at this half moon leaf. It's just really beautiful. Right next to it, I have another plant shelf. This is a hanging plant shelf that kind of has the same style as my macrame hangers. This is my string of hearts, variegated string of hearts that I got from Corgi Jungle. It's doing really well for me. When I first had it, it was kind of just hanging in the pot, but now it's starting to trail. And it's just really beautiful. Right here. I treat them like succulents. They don't like a lot of water. He also gave me this one, which is the regular string of hearts without the variegation. And I started pinning them down with hairpins to make it look less bald on top. It's more apparent with this one. I pinned down these string of hearts. Here I have another cutting that I got from a friend. This is the Hoya Matilda. It's kind of like the obovata, but the leaves are a lot smaller. And I just recently converted it into soil before it was in leca. I got it as a cutting. And I think I have a new growth point here somewhere. But yeah, it's just a really cute Hoya if you're into like tiny Hoya leaves. Here I have another orchid. This is the vanilla orchid that I got. And this is actually my first orchid. Did you know that vanilla beans come from this orchid? I didn't know that. I googled that. But yeah, it's really cool. Really easy grower. I just water it once a week when the leaves start getting soft. On the top here, I have two more Hoyas. This is my Hoya pubicalis. If you're into splashy Hoyas, I would highly recommend this. This is a very common Hoya that you can get. It wasn't growing much for me, but recently it just grew out this long stem. I don't know what it's doing. I think it wants more light, maybe, because it's going towards the window. Here is another Hoya that I got. This is, I think, the Hoya exotica. Very similar to the Crimson Queen. It has this really nice variegation to it. And this started growing a lot for me too. Alright, let's go back down here. Oh, I forgot the plants on my windowsill. I have a couple things here. Mainly this spot is for my cat, but here I have this other rubber tree that I have. I have to dust this off. This is so dirty, but I have to dust off this rubber tree. I have some pileas that I'm growing for a friend. There's like 2 or 3 pileas in here, and they're all doing really well in this south-facing window. And here was something. There's nothing here anymore. So let's just move on. This is the last section I want to talk about. Right here down below. Ow, my knee just cracked. I'm getting old. Before I talk about that, I'm just going to talk about my Monstera. It's recently growing for me again. It had like 2 leaf for 2 years and recently gave me this biggest leaf. I'm hoping that it'll block this humidifier so it's not that obvious, because right now it's just like popping up. But down here is my plant ICU area. I talk about this a lot. This is where I take care of my plants in rehab, either suffered from root rot or recent imports. And if you want to know more about my setup, I actually have a video where I talk about the heat mat and what I do with these plastic bags. But I'm just going to talk about the plants in here. This was an import that I made in, I think, September or October. This is my Anthurium veitchii. And it's doing really well. It's just growing in moss right here. And it loves it in moss. It's giving me these aerial roots. This is the newest leaf that came out of it. When it matures, it actually has more of these ripples. I would recommend you to Google how this looks in its mature form. It looks really crazy cool. It's also known as like King Anthurium. But I realized that Anthuriums really like humidity, so I have it growing in a glass dome. And here's another anthurium that I have in a plastic bag to keep the humidity level. This is my anthurium crystallinum that I also imported from Indonesia. It was living in my plant shelf in my living room area for a while. Wasn't doing anything. So I was like, let me pop it here in my ICU area to see if it'll do anything. And bam! Once I put it in the plastic bag and on the heat mat, it gave me this new leaf, which is so beautiful. Right next to it is a plant that I got from another friend. And this is called the Philodendron glorious, because it's like a hybrid between the melanochrysum and the gloriosum. This is different because it actually grows vertically, but the gloriosum grows horizontally. So it's really nice. When she gave me, it had 2 leaf, and it wasn't doing well in my living room area. I think it's because the temperature drops really low in there. It was like below 60, and it just started giving me these like brown spots. So I cut it off and I put it here, and it's doing so much better. There's a new leaf coming out here. So I'm just gonna keep it here. Right here is my rattlesnake caletheia. You can't tell what it is, but it's not dead yet because I checked the roots and the roots are really healthy. I'm hoping back in spring it'll bounce back up. Right now I have it on the heat mat to kind of encourage more roots for it to grow some leaves. But yeah, don't give up hope on your plants. They're still alive in there somewhere. Next here, also in this plastic bag, I have another plant that I got from a friend from another plant swap. This is the Philodendron Burley Marks, but the variegated version. And I love it a lot. It was really healthy, but I ran out of soil, so I don't have soil to repot it. And I just have it growing in moss right now, and it's doing really well. These are the new roots, really healthy. Probably in spring I'll repot it. There's a lot of new growth points here too. So I'm just waiting for the spring to repot it. I highly recommend anyone to do plant swaps. It's a really good way to make, to grow your collection and also make friends. Here in this plastic bag is my propagation station. Is growing completely in moss, and let me see what I have here. I have a lot of different things in this box. This is my Philodendron silver pastizanum. The leaves started dropping once winter came, so I just chopped it back and I put it in here. The roots are growing. It's actually pretty healthy, so it'll bounce back up in the spring. Here I also have Philodendron Ghost, I think. When I was repotting my Philodendron Ghost, I just saw this random node in there, so I just popped it in here. And it's growing like crazy. I should probably repot this, but again, I don't have soil. But yeah, if anyone wants to trade with me, I have a Philodendron Florida Ghost, if anyone wants. Actually, I have a couple of them. I have another one right here. So let me know. This is COVID. It started dropping leaves in the winter, so I cut it back and I just put a piece here just in case. And it's doing really well. There's new leaves coming out here. This is my backup COVID 2.0. Monstera stepanticana, I think it's called. Again, in the winter, it just started dropping leaves. So I put it in this bag and it's growing like crazy. The roots are growing back. And there's a new leaf here. I'm just waiting for spring to come so I can repot this guy. This Euphorbia Ghost cutting that I got from Corgi Jungle. I've actually had this in here, I think, for 3 months. It hasn't rooted for me, but it hasn't died on me either. So I'm just gonna keep it in here and see what happens. Anthurium bakery seedlings that are here, that I also got from a plant swap. What else do I have here? I also have this that I got from a plant swap. This is a Philodendron fibrosum, I think it's called. The stem has like hair on it. You can't tell right now, but when it's mature, trust me, it'll have like hairy stems, which is really cool. It hasn't done anything for me in here actually, but it also hasn't died for me either, so I have hope. It is shriveling up a bit, so I don't know, maybe I'll put some kiki paste on the nodes and hopefully it'll encourage it to do something. But I'm just gonna keep it in here. They love it in here. I'm actually considering getting a greenhouse cabinet once these things grow out of it, because I realized that my plants really love being in like a enclosed environment, which is why I keep it in this plastic bag for now. Just remember to air out this bag once in a while because it will mold. It will grow mold inside. And make sure if you have it on a heat mat like me, you check that it doesn't dry out because the heat will dry it out. This concludes the end of my video and also my houseplant tour. Let me know in the comments below if you have a favorite plant. I'll probably do another plant tour in the spring. I'll have new plants. There's probably going to be a lot of new growth too, so stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for watching this video, and again, another 10-second challenge. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you so much for your support, and see you guys next week. Bye! I'll probably have new plants. Hopefully not.